Everyone, it's Daemonion here. I have another sound design development diary, as promised. In this video, I don't know if any of you saw my Twitter post or my little comment that I put on the site, but I had another engineering breakthrough with the X-ray engine. So what I did was I went onto the GSC and AMK forums and asked for help from these gentlemen below the screen here, and without them I couldn't have done this, so big thank you to them. So what did I do exactly? Well, I'll tell you a story. So one day I was digging around in the LTX files in the game, and specifically I was looking at the LTX files for the weapons, and in every weapon in the game has an LTX file which has parameters inside of it that tells the game how to behave when certain weapons are used. So, you know, for the Makarov, it tells the game which animation to use, which texture to use, which model to use, and also there's a spot that tells the game where to play the sound for reloading, holstering, and more importantly for shooting. So the actor, which is the player, which is you, and the NPCs all share the same configuration files for the weapons. So the config file for the AKS in the picture here is the same one that the artificial intelligence uses. So I got to thinking, if I could somehow get the game to differentiate between the actor's gun and the NPC's weapons, then perhaps I could tell the game to use a different audio file for when the actor is shooting and for when the NPCs are shooting. The reason I wanted to do that was because guns do not sound the same at different distances, in different perspectives. What you hear firing from the first-person perspective is much different than what you hear from someone firing 100 meters from you. And the way the game handles this now is, if you can see that military guy standing way back there, he uses the same sound file, but all it does is it calculates how far away he is from your ears and then lowers the volume. That's it. It doesn't dynamically alter it in any way. And while dynamically altering the audio is way past my abilities and probably what the engine is capable of, I was able to get the engine to differentiate between when it's the actor firing and when it's the NPCs firing. So that means I can now have the game play audio files for you to hear when you are firing your guns in the first-person perspective, and for you to hear in the third-person perspective when the NPCs are shooting around you. And this is important because I can make them sound totally different. It won't be super drastic in terms of like the caliber, but in terms of reverberation and echo, power, like the low frequency stuff, mechanical noises like the bolt cycling, the trigger resetting, things like that, I can really brighten up and texture the first-person perspective weapon audio in a way that wouldn't be appropriate for you to hear from an NPC firing at you from 200 meters away. Now with the third-person perspective, I'm going to be probably eliminating almost entirely all that mechanical texturing, taking the low frequencies down a bit, and also lowering the high frequencies. And I'll be putting in a bit more of that air pressure change sensation. I don't know how many of you are familiar with shooting weapons or have spent time firing handguns or rifles or anything like that. But when someone next to you fires a gun, you can feel the air pressure change around you. It's a really intrusive thing, and now that I can have different audio for the player and for the NPCs when they're firing their guns, I can now more accurately capture that. It won't be able to be as dynamic as something like, say, Battlefield 3, but it's still going to be a huge step from what the game engine initially had. Also, there's one more thing I'm working on which I haven't gotten to work yet, but there's also the potential for me to make this the first-person weapon audio in stereo as opposed to mono. I know I had mentioned in my other dev diary that I got stereo audio working in S.T.A.L.K.E.R, which is true. It now works. But the engine uses mono sounds as a way to pinpoint where things are coming from. So if I can bypass that just for the first person perspective or find some other way to make it work, then that means I can make the echo and the reverberation sound incredible with using stereo audio files. I can make things very wide. I can make them very immersive, and that would be the best bet scenario. So right now, worst case is there will be different audio for first-person firing and different audio for third-person firing, both in mono. Best case scenario is that same thing except it's in stereo for first-person. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. But that's pretty much it. I just wanted to share that with you, and once I get around to recording the weapon audio for L.U.R.K, I'm going to have some really fun, really cool videos for you guys. You'll be able to see me not only capture that audio, but also edit it into first-person perspective and third-person perspective variants, which I am super excited about. So once again, thank you to these gentlemen here, and I'll post some of the code on the page, so you guys can see what it looks like. It's nothing too crazy, but if you're curious, you can look at it. And if anyone has any questions, comments, things like that, you can send me an email. You can put it on my Twitter page. You can put a comment on my ModDB blog. You can put something on this page, on the L.U.R.K page. A bunch of ways to contact me, so take advantage of that. I will do my best to answer any questions from you guys, specifically regarding audio, and look forward to my next update. Take care.